Just needed a little bit of a break for Sherlock and Watson as well.
My break is always on the map screen because that's where we need to go.
Maybe Wiggins gonna be of help again? I highly doubt it. Yep. Not this time. Jonas is of no help. I highly doubt Lestrade is of any help. This guy was of no help. I'm sure I didn't miss anything in the taxidermies. Did I? Did I miss something? I'm sure I missed something. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't be stuck if I didn't miss anything. But I'm sure I did. So... with the spoonful of sugar keeps the American. Or did you? Dun dun dun. Ah, I see what I missed. Now I noticed. A scalpel. Or a knife. This knife could easily be mistaken for a surgeon's scalpel, were it not for the fact that the blade is slightly longer and its cutting edge is serrated, presumably the saw through an animal's hide. Ooh. So that's a serrated blade. This knife could easily be mistaken for this. Can we give this to Watson? Watson, would you not describe this knife as a serrated scalpel? I would indeed, Holmes. I've never seen an instrument like that, like it. What is this knife used for? Well, it's not for slicing roast beef. Please be careful, it's extremely sharp. I use it for separating skin from the soft tissue beneath it, and among other things. I believe a knife like this was used to kill Miss Carraway. Perhaps this very knife. Your situation is serious, Mr. Sorensen. I'll see you charged as an accessory to murder if you don't assist me. It is urgent that I find Mr. Blackwood. No need to threaten me, Mr. Holmes. I'll tell you what I know. I overheard Blackwood making an appointment to meet someone at the Surrey commercial docks. That's a huge area. Can't you be more specific? Sorry, that's all I know, except that knife there belongs to Blackwood. Give us a brief description of Blackwood, if you will. He is a medium build with grey hair. He wears a top hat and a monocle. That narrows it down. Mr. Sorensen, could I ask you just one more thing? No, Mr. Holmes, I've told you everything I know. Now you must excuse me, I need to finish this gazelle before it rots. Just one more question, like Columbo. Hey, we found the murder weapon. Da 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 da. Now we need to get to some docks. Not ducks, docks. A harbor area. Although I don't see any harbor area. Where could we go to find more information about Blackwood? Also, can I talk to the morgue man? The profession escapes me right now. The coroner. There it is. Rickson, you got anything? It's you, Holmes. Can we actually go this way? Nope. Oh. I'm just going with my hunches right now. Hopefully get somewhere. I highly doubt there's anything we can talk to with Lestrade, but you know, just trying out. Good day, Sergeant. Good day, Mr. Holmes. Riveting. Still not the best conversation in the world, but, you know, riveting. The best conversation in the world in the video games goes to Mass Effect 2, in my opinion. So where could we go to find Blackwood then? Maybe she knows about him? Now that we know the description.
Hello, Leslie. How is business? Well enough, sir. Please come back if you ever want flowers.
She was of no help. How may Madame Rosa serve you, gentlemen? Can we get anything out of her? Nope. You, Mrs. Palmist, is of no use. But you will be in the future. Yeah, even I can tell the future. I'm better than you. I doubt anybody in the pub will help me either. Mamma mia! As a Mario would say. Mamma mia! Still not willing to talk to me, huh? Oh, brother. Where art thou? Save. On this. Where is Blackwood? Where could we find info about Blackwood? But these guys are the ones that will give me info on the whereabouts of Caruso. And also, I'm way to the wrong edge of my webcam. There we go. So, these guys will not give me any info about Caruso unless I do something different. And what that difference is, I have no idea. They all just swindled the money out of Sherlock. The man in the yellow coat seems a remarkable character. Is he married? It is, sir, to Peggy O'Shea. A real beauty around these parts. Dark hair and violet eyes. The whole family is black Irish, as they say, but the temperament's match. Jock's out of the house, quite a bit of you account of them. I suspect that those two men have more than a casual familiarity with Newgate Prison. Can you tell me about them? Some of the Academy's noblemen, sir. Jock Mahoney in the yellow and Nobby Charlton in the hat. Salt of the earth they are. I allow no rough trade in my establishment. I have difficulty believing that. Perhaps Inspector Lestrade should be informed. By all means, I have a pitiful memory for faces, but if he's a snooker player, he is welcome. Give me another pint of bitter, please. Very good, sir. I know you're trying to make a living, so am I. Darn it. Even after talking to the barman didn't help me. My brain is just going. Because I can't figure anything out. Sir, I require a moment of your time. Now. I thought I told you. Perhaps your wife or her brother should be informed that you are keeping company with a tall red-headed stage actress who wears Pois de Vie perfume. For the love of Mike, keep quiet. You be spying on me? Not at all. The evidence is all over your person. A strand of long red hair on your jacket, a particular brand of powder on your collar, the unmistakable scent of Pois de Vie. Alright, enough. Let me keep this between ourselves. Indeed, I have no wish to discombobulate your domestic arrangements. I simply must know where Antonio Caruso lives. I bear him no ill will. Antonio keeps his rooms over at Kingsway, just below the Holborn Viaduct. Number 86 it is. Very cozy little spot. Thank you. I trust this information will prove accurate. The O'Shea sounds like a contentious and vengeful lot. You don't know the half of it. Scare tactics. Awesome. And that's why Sherlock Holmes is awesome. Does observations make people scared? Still, where is Blackwood? Well, at least now we know where Caruso is, and I didn't need to play snooker. Good. Although I should play on a Commodore 64 night or Amiga night, play one of the billiards games. Just for fun. Ah, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, I presume. Your likeness is Beaton's annual does you justice. Then I shall send my compliments to Mr. Charles Doyle, the artist. Familiar music. A well-maintained broadwood upright piano. Sheet music from a variety of musical genres is scattered randomly about the instrument. Serviceable blue delft crockery. Presumably these articles are purely decorative because there is no other evidence of cooking utensils or even a gas ring on which to boil water for tea. A conventional brass mantel clock. This one is badly tarnished, suggesting that it is either old or poorly maintained. A silver-plated loving cup. An inscription rendered in a flowery script reads, First place, St. Bernard's Snooker Academy, 1887. Last year. On both sides of an elegant oakwood fireplace hang framed portraits of some of the greatest operatic composers of the 19th century. Rossini, Wagner, Bizet, Verdi, Donizetti, and Hoffmann are represented. A friendly fire is currently burning in the fireplace. Giuseppe Verdi, Joe Green to you. An impressive collection of European literature. Complete editions of Balzac, Cervantes, Flaubert, and Goethe compete for space with the leather-bound classics like the Iliad and Dante. Close examination of several titles reveals that they have never been opened. Two hard-shell leather cases of the type used by players of woodwind instruments. These are scuffed and scratched and appear to have been less than well treated. Now I recognize this tune. This is from Carmen. It's from Carmen. That's where I recognized it from. A young woman in a bathing costume tests the waters at Blackpool. She's turned towards the shore and appears to be having second thoughts. Her face bears striking resemblance to the murder victim Sarah Caraway. Miss Anna Caraway, I presume? Yes, that's Anna. Lovely, isn't she? A lovely set of blue satin curtains. Welcome back. Welcome back again, Gabriel. Anna's fiancé, Antonio Caruso. Mr. Caruso, we are investigating the murder. Of course, you are investigating Sarah's death. Tragic event. But I must tell you that I am having trouble enough with her sister Anna. I'm sorry for your troubles while investigating a murder. Yes, that was selfish of me. But you see, I'm worried sick about Anna. I haven't seen nor spoken with her ever since I read of Sarah's death. You been to Anna's home today, then? Yes, but the housekeeper wouldn't let me in. I believe the old crone when she said that she hadn't even seen Anna. I left my card and came back here. I played the piano to distract myself. Mr. Caruso, we've heard about your picnics near the Priory School. Can you tell us anything about the boy in whom Anna showed a special interest? Not really. He's a strange lad, always standing alone, watching. I believe she felt sorry for him. Poor little rich boy and all that. The last time we were there, she said he wanted a gyroscope and that she was going to get him one. Imagine, buying a gift for a child who has everything. And did she give him a gyroscope? I don't think so. Oh, there's our hint for there's a clue for the puzzle, but we did it already. Would you be so kind as to tell us the address of Miss Caraway's current residence? It's on the good side of One Hill Road, number 25, just off Chiswell Street. Not the best part of town, but Anna wanted a house in the grand style, and she got one. Do you have a key? No, but the housekeeper will most certainly be there. She's always there, cleaning and polishing and sweeping and generally making a nuisance of herself. I warn you, however, that the woman is as deaf as a post. Knock loudly and long. Thank you for that advice. If you see Anna, tell her I'm nearly prostrate with worry. Do you mind if you look around? I do mind, but I won't stop you. I really don't see how that will help find Anna or Sarah's killer for that matter. A handsome flat, is it not, Watson? Beautifully appointed, Holmes. My compliments to Mr. Caruso's decorator. Do you see anything that might assist us in our inquiries? Nothing that appears to be immediately relevant, Holmes, but I have on other occasions mistaken the critical for the insignificant and vice versa. How can we effectively scour the Surrey commercial docks for Blackwood? Perhaps the redoubtable canine Toby can help. Indeed, Watson. He just might be able to pick up Mr. Blackwood's scent. Of course. Toby. What did I think of that? Totally forgot about Toby. Prostrate, not prostate. Did I say prostrate?
Didn't mean prostate. Oops.
I know how to read. Sometimes. Ah, the beautiful Anna, apparently. This case has more unexpected turns than the Cretan Labyrinth. You said prostate with worry. Well, you know, that could happen. A brick home townhouse of the type made popular in the last century by Horace Fisher. The massive solidity of the facade is broken by delicate leaded glasswork and the iron balustrade above the entryway. The columns are cut from single slabs of granite, mined from the same quarry used by the builders of Stonehenge. Hiccups. A huge collection of leather-bound books grace a stack of polished mahogany shelves in this lifeless room. 3 gilded chairs are placed in a row against the east wall. The whole effect suggests the waiting room of a man of business, a lawyer perhaps, or a chartered accountant. There appears to be no access to number 28 next door. Ah, Watson, the marvels of East London. An elegant townhouse, not 5 minutes from the Bank of England and Threadneedle Street. The city never ceases to amaze. This is what I believe the Americans call a serendipity, Holmes. That's their way of describing an unexpected pleasure. I am indeed surprised to see such a lovely home in Shoreditch. At least it's not Shortage.
How shall we approach Miss Carroway's serving woman, Watson?
If Mr. Caruso may be believed, we may not have to deal with her at all. Highly polished brass bell pull with cleverly doubles as a doorknob. Pulling the doorknob rather than turning it rings a bell. Probably below stairs. I'm sure she'll arrive at some point. If not... No, not on the bell pull. Use the keys on the door. I believe the demands of good manners have been satisfied, Watson. If there is anyone inside, they are either incapacitated or they don't wish to see us. In either case, we must enter. Indeed, let us proceed. Watson, what do your powers of deduction tell you about this house? Is it occupied or are we alone? I know that guessing is anathema to you, Holmes, so if you don't mind, I will reserve my opinion until I have some facts. Anathema. There's a word that they don't use often anymore. Anathema. A charming photograph of two adolescent girls dressed in light-colored taffeta. They both hold sunbonnets, and the sea is visible in the lower left corner of the scene. The smaller girl appears to be a much younger version of the murder victim, Sarah Carroway. The older girl is presumably Anna Carroway herself. Anna Sarah. One of the two dragon trees, Dracania Draco, that grace the spacious foyer. They are particularly lush specimens, but appear to have gone without water for longer than a caring horticulturist would allow or recommend. The plant sits in a well-turned ceramic pot glazed in royal blue enamel. This is a card with some printing on it, but it cannot be read from here.
Yeah, we got one up then.
A lavishly engraved silver plate rendered in Louis XIV's style. Anna uses it to hold calling cards of prominent visitors. This card presents the name and office address of a certain Jacob Farthington, barrister of Grace Inn, London. This card bears the name of Antonio Caruso, printed in an almost illegible Florentine script. Score! A leather-bound, well-thumbed musical score and libretto of W.A. Mozart's Magic Flute. The parts sung by the delightful character Papagena are underlined in pencil. I guess that was the part that she was going to sing. I would assume. One of the two dragons. An impressive oak staircase, highly suitable for dramatic entrances into the living room. On descending the staircase, one looks directly across the hall into the Chinese red parlor. An interesting, though poorly executed still life of a vase filled with flowers. Perhaps the artist suffered from cataracts. Though the colors are stunningly lovely, the subject appears blurred and the forms are not properly delineated. It is signed simply C. Monet. Monet painting, huh? A beautiful piece of cream-colored linen is stretched and set in a handsome, though plain oak frame. The domestic homely bliss this home is embroidered on it in small gray letters. Did Monet have cataracts? It was suspected that he did because of how many of his paintings are very blurry, so it was suspected that he had cataracts and he couldn't see well, but he saw the colors very vibrantly, but everything else was blurry, so it was suspected that he would have had cataracts. Yeah, his late paintings are all blurry, yeah, so it was suspected that later on he did develop cataracts, but he didn't stop painting. All the lively colors are still there, but everything looks very blurry. A large mauve turkey carpet, beautifully made and decorated with an interesting geometric pattern, it serves as the focal point of the living space. Despite our unconventional entry, you certainly must have noticed that Miss Caraway's home is beautifully furnished. Indeed, and beautifully maintained. It's immaculate. Everything appears as if it was scrubbed with soap and polish and then buffed for hours. Miss Caraway's housekeeper must be a treasure. So, what do you say about the house, Watson? Is it occupied or not? Occupied, Holmes. The lamp on the staircase is lit. There is a glow coming from the parlor which suggests a fire, and I believe I heard a broom being used upstairs. Excellent deduction, old friend. Your powers of observation are admirable. Perhaps you should take up detecting and eye medicine. What do you say? You'll turn my head, Holmes. I say, let's examine this house while we can. I say. Shall we peruse the parlor, Watson? By all means, Holmes. Still 10 times better than modern art. I agree. Surely there would be some record of family and friends stating his vision was not good. I don't remember if there is such a thing. Ah, the housekeeper. Good day, madame. No response. Caruso did not exaggerate the woman's condition, Watson. She seems to be extraordinarily hard of hearing. We must speak to her immediately, but I don't want to frighten her. So how could we do this and not to frighten her? A brightly colored ceramic bowl filled with Spanish oranges. Their delightful aroma competes with the smell of cleaning carbolic and furniture polish. And Moses. Can we pick up any of the oranges?
Please leave those things alone. You and your companion are disturbing my house cleaning. I would be grateful if you would both leave this room.
At least now she saw us.
Oh my! Don't startle me so, young man. What are you doing here anyway? Are you a friend of Miss Anna's? Excuse me, madame. We are looking for Miss Caraway. You haven't brought in any dirt on your shoes, have you? I trust not. Pardon our intrusion. We wish to speak to Miss Caraway. Don't whisper, young man. How did you get in here anyway? We have a key. From Miss Caraway. We're looking for her, actually. You're not the only ones. Her fancy man was here earlier, interrupting me, keeping me from my cleaning. Like I told him, I haven't seen her all day. You can wait for her downstairs if you must. I have my cleaning to do. Might we have a look around this room? Certainly not. Miss Caraway barely allows me in here. I clean as best as I can, but she has strict rules. I have orders to never ever touch that statue, for instance. Not that I'd want to, mind. That shameless woman has no clothes on. Now go downstairs, please.
Monet did have a cataracts. A miniature version of the incomparable Venus de Milo. Venus de Milo. In this marble rendering, the lovely lady's arms have been restored. She stands on a polished granite pedestal on top of which lays a thin layer of dust. In 1923, he underwent 2 operations to remove his cataracts. The paintings done while the cataracts affected his vision have a general reddish tone, which is characteristic of the vision of cataract victims. It may also be that after surgery he was able to see certain ultraviolet wavelengths of light that are normally excluded by the lens of the eye. This may have had an effect on the colors he perceived. After his operations, he even repainted some of these paintings with bluer water. Bluer water lilies than before. Just imagine his paintings if he had a catapult. How long have they been operating on cataracts? I thought it was a recent thing. About 100 years at least. It was discovered, cataracts was discovered in the early 20th century, I think. Or maybe even around this time, when where this game is placed in 1888. Around that time. I mean, this is about the time when medicine or medical procedures and operations were actually starting to go in a better direction. Finding out all kinds of new stuff about medicine and such. A silver-plated Swiss music box designed like a carousel. The top of the carousel appears to be removable. A lovely scene, rendered in the unnaturalist style of the mountain valley near Salzburg, Austria. An enamel bowl filled with winter apples. The fruit is well past its prime. It may be merely decorative. Dr. Watson might observe that Miss Carraway does not evidently subscribe to the old adage, an apple a day, etc.
Please leave these things alone. You and your companion are disturbing my house cleaning. I would be grateful if you would both leave this room.
Fine, whenever, Mom.
I mean mum, not mom. 3 brands of distinguished and expensive French eau de cologne sit on the bench at the foot of the bed. A framed reproduction of Lang's unfinished portrait of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart hangs beside the bed. Gabriel, why do you do this? Always with the walls of text that you copy from Wikipedia or something. Door leads to the stairs. Really? I must investigate this. I know 10 years ago you had stitches on your eyes after cataract surgery. Thankfully, that's not the case today. I'd hate to think how they did it in the early days. Probably just put eye patches. But that's that.
They will heal eventually.
Primitive cataract surgeries have been performed since the 1st century AD. Huh. 1748, Jacques Daviel was the first modern European physician to extract the cataracts from the eyes. They made the only form of surgery known as cataract culture had been performed in 1611, and cataract extraction most likely performed in 1776. Cataract extraction is aspiration of lens material throughout Europe, to which the suction is applied to the form of the Philadelphia surgeon to Phil Singh Physic in 1815.
Eye surgery, eh? Come here, I've got a pointy stick.
I'm still nervous as hell about my surgery in 2 weeks, even though I've been told it's needless, stitch-free, and only lasts 8 minutes. Don't worry, you'll be fine, Goblin. Just ask them and not to show what they're doing at the same time. Needleless, not needless. Yeah, needless, stitch-free, and only lasts 8 minutes, yeah. In these days, it's a fast operation. But they will give you some special eyeglasses or give you an eye patch or something. Mostly it's like the big, thick sunglasses that help you see while the eyes heal. So they don't get oversaturated with sunlight and such, and you wear an eye shield. Yeah. So now we know that Anna is not even home, or hasn't even been home for a day. Where could she be? Oh, it's you. I'm sorry, I have nothing more to say. He really doesn't. Damn. So, no more going to Caruso, then. Law Office of Mr. Jacob Farthington. Well, that's the calling card. Calling card? Good day, gentlemen, and forgive me for not rising. Please amuse yourselves while I complete this correspondence. There are one or two artifacts here that might capture your interest. Yeah, I'll make my own decisions about that. The spherical map of the Earth is a 19th century reproduction of Leonardo da Vinci's classic globe, which the master built in 1515 shortly after the discovery of the Americas. Close examination reveals two sets of small brass hinges along the equator. Whee! A sheepskin document written in Latin which states that the Magister et Amici, Master and Friends, of Balliol College, Oxford, award the baccalaureate degree to Jacobus Maximus Farthington. That's not a posh name if anything. I mean, Jacobus Maximus Farthington.
I'll say he must be a really good lawyer.
Titles pertaining to the development of common law are randomly interspersed among the proceedings of the courts of chancery. The peculiar de jure intelligence and a handsome octavo set of the Justinian Code are represented. The majority of the library, however, consists of cheap French novels and bound volumes of Police Gazette and Illustrated Weekly. The barrister's robe and periwig are carelessly strewn on the rack. Both items are in extremely poor condition. A small quantity of service dust suggests that neither has been recently moved, let alone worn. The rack itself is meant to look like it is carved from a single gigantic elephant tusk, but it is in fact made of plaster of Paris. A very, very cheap model. These library stairs allow access to the volumes on the upper shelves. From here, it can be observed that Mr. Farthington keeps Sir Richard Francis Burton's just completed, unabridged, and unexpurgated translation of the Arabian Nights on the top shelf, and that the bust beside the fireplace is of the orator Demosthenes. This low vantage point does not afford an adequate viewing of the bust to identify it with certainty. Well, we got it from there. From the stairs. A piece of cheap foolscap paper has been carefully preserved under glass and surrounded with a functional frame. A short cryptic note is written on it. It reads, "Jacob, I found some. See." It is dated the 12th of December 1886 and posted from Witwatersrand in the Transvaal. Jacob, I've found some. See. Rendered in the richly decorated French Rococo style of the previous century, this three-candle arrangement presumably provides all the light the barrister Farthington requires when the sun goes down. Ah, a snuff box. A gold foil box in the style popular during the reign of Louis XVI. Close examination of the painted and glazed enamel on the cover reveals, however, that this is a copy no more than 20 years old. This handsome marble fireplace and mantel is uncharacteristically devoid of decorative ornamentation. Despite the inclement weather and the time of year, the fire has not been lit. There is no sign of coal or fireplace implements. The grill is clean. The log that sits in the grill is made of papier-mâché. Well, it would burn fast, at least. The artful manufacturer intended that this grey ceramic cylinder appear to be fashioned from the foot of an African elephant. The beast's toenails have been painted pink. Perhaps it is meant to be a coal scuttle rather than a dustbin. Since both coal dust and paper refuse are completely absent, it is not possible to determine which. So this guy is so poor, or his business is so bad, that he cannot even afford real wood for his fireplace. So right now, the fireplace is nothing but a facade. A display. Not used. A capacious easy chair covered in purple wool brocade. On the arms and back, the nap is fading from the fabric. The seat cushion is severely compressed and the carpet in front of the chair is worn thin. Well, at least he has a lot of clientele, I guess. A freestanding marble ashtray on a chromium plate base. It is filled almost to overflowing with ashes, spent matches, and the ends of small Dutch-style cheroots. I'd recommend getting those plastic safety glasses which come tinted in black. I use them for light sensitivity and they're cheap, as they cover all the angles light might come from. Good idea. They've offered me surgery for both eyes, so I might be having the right eye done later, so maybe it's worth getting those. I did look into those. Hey there, Louie. You should synchronize game and film characters. What? Synchronize game and film characters. Not really sure what you mean by that. A rickety oak veneer credenza of modern manufacture serves as the barrister's desk. It seems poorly suited for the purpose. Farthington's jumble of papers, briefs, and letters are scattered about its surface, and a reasonably hefty volume would cause it to collapse. I think he means you should give the characters the voices which they had in the movie. What movie? The barrister is an obese man with a huge head. He is neatly dressed, though his lapels show the trace remnants of some long-forgotten dinner. His florid complexion is distinguished by a bulbous, thickly veined, purple-hued nose that often characterizes a well-practiced imbiber of strong alcoholic spirits. Great, he's a drunkard. Not a big surprise. Always the observant professional, the doctor quietly appraises the effects, furnishing, and condition of another professional man's office. Ah, Watson, the enormous variety of human predilections in matters of taste and decoration is a continual source of delight and curiosity to me. This certainly is an extraordinary room. I've never seen a barrister's chambers done up in this singular manner. Spidey Sherlock sounds like the Frogware game's Sherlock. Really. Okay, the voice is not for Sherlock. You're not happy with the voice that I gave to Sherlock? Is that what you mean? Mr. Farthington, what is your interest in Miss Anna Carraway?
If you'll excuse me for saying so, sir, your manner is too blunt by half. In you come without so much as an introduction and begin interrogating me. No, sir, we shall not be able to deal on those terms. You can presumably find your way out. Your own way out.
Forgive me. My name is Holmes, and this is Dr. Watson. We're investigating the murder of Sarah Caraway. At Anna Caraway's home, we found your calling card. Have you seen her?
With the exception of one time last week, not since she was in nappies.
I beg your pardon?
Might I know the status of your inquiries?
We have some suggestive leads that the murderer is still at large. We're now concerned with the whereabouts of Miss Anna Caraway. No one has seen her in more than 24 hours. Would you please describe your interest in Miss Caraway?
At the risk of betraying the confidence of a client, I'll tell you a story that will, I trust, make you my interest clear. When the Caraway sisters were just infants, their father and I were great friends. We had come down from Oxford together, looking for adventure and ways to make our daily bread. After 5 years of serious application, we have found neither. I took an ocean to dig for diamonds in Africa. Caraway, whose wife had died in childbirth, was determined to accompany me. He gave his daughters over to the keeping of a maiden sister, and off we went. Once there, it took barely 6 months and a bout of malaria to convince me that the rigors of life on the belt were more than my standards of comfort could accommodate. I booked a passage home, which with luck I was able to establish this law practice such as it is. Caraway stayed on thinking his fortune was just around the corner. Over the years, the Caraway sisters remembered me with holiday greetings and such, but I never saw either of them until Anna called on me last week in my professional capacity. In brief, she retained me to research the legal procedures and the evidence required to prove a claim of parentage. Though she was reluctant to provide me with any details, this much emerged. 10 years ago, Anna bore a son out of wedlock whom she was coerced into giving up to the boy's father, Lord Bromwell. Recently, she acquired some evidence that she believed would, in the hands of the proper authorities, legally reunite her with her son. She understood that she would certainly risk old Bromwell's ill will were she to expose this evidence, but she discounted the risk. She left, promising to come again 2 days ago, but she never came. I called at her home to offer my condolences for the death of her sister, as she was mysteriously absent. I frankly wonder, gentlemen, if she underestimated her position. I fear her disappearance may have a sinister cause, and you have said nothing to allay my fear.
You imagine then, sir, that Anna's disappearance following Sarah's death is more than a wretched coincidence?
I said, it may be, gentlemen, nothing more.
That would indeed complicate matters to an extraordinary degree.
Reputation is known to me, Mr. Holmes. Might I engage your services to assist me in finding Anna Caraway? When you have unraveled this tangled skein, bring Anna to me, and we shall both have the reason to be grateful.
I will try to understand what unfolds and do as my judgment bids. I hope that our interests in this perplexing case coincide.
I am confident that our goals are the same. For now, our business is concluded. If my office holds no more interest for you, please see yourselves out.
Interesting story. Do you have anything more to tell us, sir?
Regrettably, no. When you have unraveled this tangled skein, bring Anna to me, and we shall both have reason to be grateful.
Very well, Mr. Farthington. I will do my best.
Well, now then, our business is concluded. If my office has no interest, you please save yourself up. Save.
Thot plickens, indeed. Fascinating story about Anna. It's okay, but better for funny characters. I thought it was fine for Sherlock. A sophisticated British voice.
Ah, Toby.
Old Shermans. If you're expecting Louis for me to change my voice for Sherlock Holmes, you'll be sadly, you'll be just saddened, because I won't.
I've been using this voice for Sherlock since I started playing this game, and I'm gonna keep it. Your canine friend Toby. The dog is an ungainly brown and white, long-haired, floppy-eared mongrel, half spaniel, half greyhound, with a steady eye and a waddling gait. He is known by a select few to be the best tracking dog in England and perhaps the whole of Europe. There's all birds up there. Cool. Is that an owl? A large tawny owl surveys the room for a cleverly selected perch and makes his occasional inquiries. A lethal nocturnal hunter, he presumably helps keep the premises clear of unwanted rodents. His presence may account for the fact that the room is kept in a kind of twilight, lit only by the stove and whatever light passes into the shop through the very dirty windows. Is that a badger? I can't really tell if it's a badger. Though clearly a sort of pet, this badger is hardly tame. He continually hisses, claws the floor, and buries his teeth when anyone, including old Sherman, comes within 10 feet of him. This young long-tailed parrot from South America is caged. Given that Sherman's other birds roam freely through the shop, it may be assumed that this macaw is either living up to his species' reputation for viciousness, or that Sherman is concerned that this specimen carries psittacosis. A sturdy, empty cage. But is it a rusty cage? Given the condition of the shop and the appearance of old Sherman, it is unexpected that his library contains one of the finest private collections of ornithological subjects in England. Among his treasures are an elephant folio of Audubon's The Birds of America, and an exhaustive history of embalming and taxidermy by the French specialist Bethier. An excessively lean and wizened old man, his shoulders are hunched over and his garments appear to belong to a person twice his size. He has shaved sometime in the last month, but not recently. His gold-framed spectacles are perched on his mostly bald head, and their blue lenses reflect 2 tiny moons on his pate. Lots of nice historical references in this game. Have you seen your friend there in the badger, Watson? I'm not ashamed to admit that I am fully prepared to jump up on this table the moment I do, Holmes. I make no claim to understand what goes on in that beast's so-called mind. Aha, Watson is afraid of a badger. At least it's not a honey badger. They all be dead already. Nobody F's with a honey badger. Greetings, Sherman. I trust I find you well.
Oh, it's you, Sherlock. What a surprise. And you brought Dr. Watson. How nice. I hope you paid your respects to the animals. They always like to see old friends.
Regrettably, we are not on a social call. We have need of your treasure's extraordinary skill.
Ah, you come for Toby then. I'm not a moment too soon. He's been moping around all morning. I believe he's pining for a feline friend that passed over into the great beyond. A good chase should be just the ticket for lifting his spirits.
I should like to borrow him then. Thank you, old friend.
Of course, Sherlock, and here, you'll need his leash.
Alright, let's use the leash on Toby then. Oh, look at him. So cute. Here we are in the harbor. Now, let's see. He's in there, Watson. I stake my life on it. I've never known Toby to err.
I thought I needed to use the smock on Toby.
This ship is a clipper named Carthago. It appears deserted. On the bridges not falling down. A tin pail with a thin rope attached to the handle sits precariously on a ledge. A 30-foot length of strong, though weathered, rope. Adventure games always need rope. According to the ship's manifest, the Carthago carried a load of olive oil from Cadiz, but a simple sniff of the offloaded cargo indicates something stronger than olive oil filled those barrels. Oak casks of the standard 36 imperial gallon capacity. One of them is leaking greasy, acrid ooze from its bung. It is obviously a low-grade sherry wine destined to be served at some of London's less discriminating public houses. The door of the shed is closed but not locked. Closer examination reveals that the side of the crate was recently opened and that it has been nailed tightly shut again. Badger. Watson! Question of the day. Why does your nose run, but your feet smell?
Because that's how... because Cthulhu said so.
I just remember, there's a comment about Queen Victoria's underpants or something when you look at the window.
Really now?
Queen Victoria was still in nappies when this window was last cleaned. The urban soot and grime of the Industrial Revolution have rendered it virtually opaque.
There we have it.
Blackwood most certainly entered the warehouse through this door. Draw your revolver, Watson. They'll seize the malefactor straight away.
I'm unarmed, Holmes. You didn't tell me that firearms might be required here.
Perhaps under the circumstances, we should not be too hasty. Quite right, Doctor. I nearly lost my head. Caution is in order. Blackwood is unquestionably vicious, and he may be armed. We know he is not alone.
As always, Holmes, you have raised the most pertinent issues. Let us learn more before proceeding.
This once sturdy and secure oak door shows its age. The wood is beginning to splinter and the area around the lock and latch look much abused. Can we take a look at the lock itself? No. It is locked. Well, this shed door is not locked, so let's see what's in the shed. Hammer. The door to the shed is open and the inside surface supports hooks for hanging tools. A heavy bung hammer used by dock workers to hammer the plugs into the oak barrels. The man who wields this 16-pound tool must be strong and accurate. If he misses the mark, he'll shatter the barrel.
It's hammer time.
Quite fitting that the dock's music sounds like terror from the deep.
Very true.
So, do we use the rope or the hammer to capture this? Holmes, it isn't like you to blunder into a situation. We have no idea who's waiting inside or if they are armed. There must be a way to assure you our element of surprise without jeopardizing our safety. Or our safely, as it said. An oil lamp burns steadily within this iron holder. There's gotta be a way for us to climb in there. The sparkling river's true condition can be guessed by looking at the refuse strewn along its banks. It's too high, you can't reach it. And if I use our good old wire hook. Too bad I can't combine items. What am I missing? What am I missing? Barrels. This unmarked oak cask has the standard 36 imperial gallon capacity. The bung of the barrel is missing. There. Now we have a pail. A standard tin water bucket of the type used for swabbing decks. There is a thin rope attached to the handle. Okay. I can't look at that blue. There we go. Small piece of calico cloth. It is dry and dirty. A small piece of calico cloth. It is dirt. So I use the pail with the Thames. And we use the rag with the pail. The pail is full of water from the Thames. The rag is soaking wet. Now use it on the window. Now look through the window. Stuck barrels conceal part of the room. A plank has been propped up against the inside of the door to keep it shut. Further into the warehouse, two men are conferring. One of the men is wearing a top hat that matches Blackwood's description. He looks furtively around the warehouse. The other man examines a large pendant. So now we know that there's two men inside. There are two men in there, Watson, and neither appears to be armed. A frontal assault seems in order. Agreed? I'm prepared to follow you anywhere, Holmes, but we better move quickly now, or we'll lose our surprise. A plank is jammed against the inside of the door. I think we could force our way in if we had the right tool. Do you see anything we might use? Shall I sacrifice my shoulder? Very game of you to offer, Watson. Very audacious. But no, that won't work. There must be something around here we can use.
How about the hammer? Let's bring the hammer down.
The hammer of justice will break the door of stopping.
Aha! Have at you, door!
Watson, a crime is being perpetrated in our very midst. We must apprehend the criminals. I will need your assistance. Stand at the ready. Nice top hat. Did they both escape? Judging from the music, the answer would be yes. Lestrade is held in Blackwood and Bow Street on the charge of selling stolen property. While he's interested in how Sarah Caraway's jewelry came into Blackwood's possession, he's not convinced that there are grounds to issue a formal charge of murder yet. The man is a stupid and lazy cur, Watson. I swear he will drive me to distraction. Does he expect that I should do all his work for him? Perhaps your criticism of his handling of the Collins bungalow murder still rankles, and that the assertion that a reasonably intelligent child of 6 could have solved the case in half an hour did not sit well with him. Perhaps. That is, though it was true, his procedure was so sloppy it almost made me weep. So, Watson, it would seem a face-to-face with Mr. Blackwood is in order. What do you say?
Lead on, Holmes, though I suspect Mr. Blackwood may have lost his tongue. Perhaps you can think of a way to make him talk.
Perhaps. Maybe. You never know. But we'll leave that for next time.